Success Dominion, and it's 2 short films. Would you have any questions? Yes.
Can you share a bit of your creative choices? What's not in?
What's not in?
Like movement, style of walking, sound, composition. Whatever you feel generous enough to share. Because there are a lot of choices.
There's something quite difficult to do when you do a film about comic books. It's that everybody who reads a comic book will have his own personal speed, because you read the comic book and then you might like a drawing about a squirrel there, or a car, or a bird, or the expression of a character, or a line of the character, and then you reread the line a few times. So the speed of a lecture is very different for everybody. So I wanted to have the right rhythm. So I was not sure about it until I said to Seth, I would like you to read out loud your personal diary. So when you read the diary, I'll get a speed and a feeling to it. And he didn't want to. So it took quite a while. But I managed to convince him, because he did a read for 1 short. I animated the short and I showed it to him, and then he understood the rhythm I was trying to get to. So he said, okay, I'm gonna read everything you want me to read. And then it helped me to pick up the speed. He does a lot of walking, and you see at the beginning of the film I show all the walk cycles in big square. And it's basically the same speed for every walk cycle. Not too fast, not too slow. Walk cycle could be a walk cycle of 8 drawings. Usually it's 12. And when for 16 drawings, a slower pace. He's just more relaxed when he walks, and he's thinking a lot. So it's really, really good. So I try to play with that. But yeah, it's a challenge to find the right speed, I think. But I think I got it right when he read it as his own speed. So I had some timing here and there, and the music for me is extremely important. I had 32 musician orchestra to do the music of the film. So it really, it's subtle. It's not a brash music that go over the film. It's very subtle, but I think it brings a lot of layers, feelings, because there's a lot of life in prison in this person, and he's trying to put it on the page. So I had to find a way of putting it on the image so that we feel there's so much more than what you just saw, hopefully, in his life and in your own life. That's for sure. Was that a good answer?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Other questions about set and animation?
In general, our animators, I mean, he seems sort of, he said he was an extrovert, but maybe that's compared to his wife, but he seemed sort of like an introvert. Are animators generally introverts because they sit alone and work, or?
Animators or comic artists,
Yeah.
for what I know,
Yeah.
are usually quite introvert. You set yourself, as he's mentioned, you set yourself a life of solitude. You sit down and you draw and you're with yourself. And I'm not your normal animators. Animators don't talk easily in front of people. They're not loud. They don't laugh loudly. They don't. I have a lot of gesture and I am full of life. I'm awkward. I don't know. Maybe it's the actor in me who don't believe I'm an actor, and then I put it on the paper or make it move the other character. Because an animator is an actor on paper or an actor on his material that he used. Because animator could do, puppet. He can do, moving sand. He can do cutouts. He can do animation in 3D. There's all kind of sort of animation. But you have to become the character you're doing. If you're doing a dandy fox, the fox has to be dandy. And he has to have, his little pinky finger and stuff like that. If you're doing a dame, you still become more sensual. So you have to become that lady. So it's a perfect tool for actors. But actors who are too introvert to show their acting skills. So the animator tend to do that. So yes, like Cowcock, he was moving more, more manly because he was Cowcock. And I tried to be making his girlfriend a bit more savvy, let's say. She was clever, and she said, "Where were you taking a shower with the Amazon Venus?" Something like that. Trying to to move differently and having different rhythm for every character. So, but it's like that when you do a comic book as well. You deal with characters, and then you have to put them in the pose that tell us more about the character than because body language is extremely important. We read 90% of what we get from the body language. It's not the mouth and the sound that we do that give the information. It's the way we stand and we move. So it's very important to go and get that acting properly in the animation and even in the comic, any pose you're doing. So I'm eager, and I'm just like projecting towards you. The body language is really giving you this information. And when you're falling asleep and you're just like, oh my God, the body language is saying something else. And it's quite important to be aware of all those little details. So I try to put that in the animation process.
How close are your short films to first original comics? How close they are? Did you use the comics as a storyboard, or you just took it as a free inspiration for a new film?
It's a mix of actually using the comics as a storyboard and adapting the composition, because many of his cages, not the cage, but the little square or round or square actually, and the composition is 185, so it's larger. So I have to adapt the composition as well for things that I wanted to show that I thought was important. I would cut differently than in the comic. Like many of the things he say are, I want to show, maybe illustrate that he was not illustrating, so I will use a different panel or use something he drew somewhere else and put it there so that we have the information. Like when he says, I really like when my wife is laughing upstairs and I don't know why she's laughing about. This is not a comic that exists. It never been drawn as a comic. It's something he said. So I use the style of drawings he has, and we sit down and we said a few jokes to his wife, and one of them, she had this really great laugh, so we said, okay, we use that, we muffle it, and then we did a little animation of him drawing, and then you just hear the laugh and just go, and then he smiles because he's obviously having fun, and he's coming back, and then, so that was not a comic.
Did he ask you to change something?
He said to me right at the beginning, and I was very, very lucky that he gave me so much confidence. He said, when I do illustration, because he earns a living by doing illustration for the New Yorker, the Washington Post, the Toronto Post, the Global Mail. He does illustration. This is how he earns a living, not by selling his book. So he always asks to his agent that I will do illustration if they tell me they will leave me alone, that they won't give me comments, or I won't do it. So he said, you're doing your film, so what I will do is exactly what I want people to do to me. I'm not going to give you any comments. You do your film as you want. And so there was a lot of pressure because I wanted him to like the film. So it's even worse than getting comments. Getting comments, at least you could, okay, I'm doing things he might not like. No, I did exactly what I wanted. So he saw it the first time at the second festival where it played in Montreal, the Festival du Nouveau Cinéma, and it played there, and he was invited, and he saw the film with his wife for the first time there at the big screen. Oh, there's 3 things I want to tell you. Very important. First, thank you to have made the effort to have the roller experience of seeing the film. This is the best experience you're going to see the film in your life. on the giant big screen. Every other experience of seeing a film is cheating yourself of the full experience. So you are real, pure cinema experience man people. I want to congratulate you. This is brilliant. You like to live life to the full, and this is the best experience of the film. So I want to congratulate you to make that effort. Secondly, can you take all of your how do you call that? Réseaux sociaux, it's in French, I'm sorry.
Social media.
You have a translator here.
Social media?
Social media.
Oh.
Go to all the social media and please mention to everybody that you have one of the nicest experiences in cinema in years, that you saw the film Sets the Minion, and poor you, you haven't seen the film. You should have come to this blah, 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 blah. This film is amazing. Oh, there's a book DVD available on Amazon. Maybe you can get it to your friends. Please share the happiness and try to propagate the pleasure of going to the cinema. Every time you see a film on your telephone, or every time you go to see a film, a small TV, a computer, it's not the full experience.
Right.
You're cheating yourself of something.
Right.
And there was a third thing very important. Remember? It'll come back. Sorry, so I needed to say
Look,
that.
one more question. I know that your cinematic and animation experience is much wider than Seth. Why
Yes.
did you select to show only speak and concentrate on Seth films? I know that you have done a lot of other things.
Yeah, yes.
And why do you select to show us, as our guest, to show only this part of your work? You think it's the most important part of your work, the most significant for you?
It's the most personal part of my work so far. I mean, there's a short film I did called Mr. Rivet, who's about a robot doing gardening. This is a personal film as well. But I directed a film for DreamWorks called Joseph the King of Dreams. It's a giant film for DreamWorks. And it's a story from the Bible that would be even better in Israel. But it's not a personal experience of mine. This is a personal experience of mine, is doing that film. I've been doing commercials after commercials after commercials after commercials. I think I did 100 commercials. But that's not personal. That's just showing I can do films, I can do animation. This film is done with the smallest budget of everything I ever done. There's so many commercials that had a bigger budget than this feature film. They had the commercial that had 600,000, 700,000 budget. It was insane. But this was a little smaller experience. But it's very personal because I love comic book personally. I'm a comic book artist, failed comic book artist. I don't think my drawings are any good, but I'm really good at doing the style of somebody else. So I took that style that I really like, and there's other artists that I would like to do films in their style. My next project and my next project and my next project. There's a few different projects, but I find life extremely rich, fantastically amazing, and full of drama. And I try to impose happiness to everything that happened, but inside here it's brewing, and it's angst, and it's scare, and it's, oh my God, how are we going to survive this? And I'm trying to find always the happy angle on everything. So he seems to be calm, and he's hiding in his basement. I dress with a tie. I'm a show-off. I'm a dandy. I met Seth. I was like, the first time I met Seth, we had this meeting because we were on the internet, and so we had this meeting. I arrived with a tie. He was like, you didn't have to dress up for me. I said, no, I dress like that every day. He wears a tie every day too. I was like, oh, I was reading a book, 1984, for the 6th time, and I was somewhere in the middle. He was reading 1984 for the 5th time. He was somewhere in the middle. We both have the same book in our hand. And we're both dressed. It was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So we don't know each other. He's English, Canadian, French descendant. Grégory Galin is very French, from Prince Edward Island. And I'm French descendant. with English origin, so it's a mix, but we were similar in so many ways, beside the haircut.
And you came with the idea to the NFB, or they?
No, I came to the NFB,
Yeah.
and the NFB for a few years or something. No, that's not interesting. That's not gonna work. No, that's no good. But that's starting. Oh, that would be a nice film. I know. Yeah, and then where are you in your film? I did this and this and this. And, oh yeah, that's pretty good. So I started the film without anybody. It's just I was moving in, and then at one point it was so advanced that the film board just moved on board and just like, oh yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, let's finish the film. I said, yeah, thank you. I'll take the money. Finish. So
I believe that Stan Lee had something like that also with his editor when he tried to pitch Spider-Man. He kind of like went, oh, here's this idea of a superhero who has the powers of a spider, and the editor went like, no, people hate spiders. That's a horrible idea. Then afterwards he went like, oh, okay, so just let me polish it, publish it, take it out of my system, then we can move to something a little bit more successful. And then afterwards when it sold out and had a second edition, he was like, Stan, remember that superhero that we both love so much?
yes, of course.
Which
Now he
is-
loves it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the film board is, without the film board, this film would have not exist at all, really. I really, the film board was instigate to get this thing finished, and they got so excited that they asked me to do the two short after, because the film won Best Feature in festivals, and then of all people, Weinstein communicated to the film board he wanted to have the film to do the circuit of cinema independent, the small cinema venue. Every city have small cinema venue to play art films, and he wanted to market that film and to play all over the United States in the art film circuit. And but they always say, oh, it's too short. So he said to the film board, you should have at least one short with him so I can package it. So they came to me and said, I can do two short if you want. And I said, okay. So I did the two short. So then they came back to Weinstein, and then Weinstein got arrested. So end of story. I liked him before. So, but yeah, the film board, they're very happy with the film, and the book DVD is doing really well. They have a third print now. The first print was done in a month. The second print, 2 months. Now they did a third print. So it's going really well. And they don't publish DVD anymore. They don't do these things. But it worked for Seth. Because Seth did a beautiful book that are image that complement the film. You have a lot of pictures and drawing that complement the film, and then you have the film. So you can see the two shorts plus the film, and a short making of, very short. So, but it's supposed to inspire. I wanted the film to inspire people. You're supposed to see life differently after that, and just like, there's so much intensity on everything. You know, you're looking at these flowers. There's somebody who took care of getting those flowers in the pot, and somewhere in a shop somewhere in Tel Aviv, created all those flowers. There's a person who was doing that. And then there's a driver who drove those flowers in here. And there's somebody else who's just like, oh, they're great, and they put them here. And that's 3 people already involved that we don't even think about. That each of these persons have a personal life. They wake up in the morning, they brush their teeth, they have breakfast. It's starting to be a lot of people, isn't it? And then they go to their life, they do their things. In the evening, what do? They go to see their friends, they watch a TV, they play a video game, they play a board game with their friends, they drink a beer there. So all that, suddenly these flowers represent so many things. And beyond, they're gonna go where? They're gonna go to, a compost after that. All the leftover art will be used in a garden where those people, this public garden, when they're gonna grow carrots, and somebody will do a carrot cake, and they're gonna do an happy birthday. There's so many stories suddenly that coming up just at looking at a flower pot. And this is all interconnected. And this life is amazing, and it's so much stuff. So sets is full, and if everything goes all right, you're gonna have a book DVD of the puppet play, The Life of Albert Bach, because you saw part of it in the film, but now there's a 30-minute film done. All of it is filmed. Now we're just waiting to finish, to have a budget to do the music and the sound. And when the music and the sound is done, you'll have a book DVD done by Seth with lots of illustration of the life of Albert Bach, and then you have the short film with. There'll be two short films. There'll be The Life of Albert Bash, the play, and the short Life of Albert Bash, because there's a short version who's being done as well. So all that in the same book DVD in about a year or two.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you
us.
for bringing me here. I'm very, very, very excited. Very excited. Thank you very much indeed. I
And
appreciate
enjoy
it.
your stay.
Don't forget your réseaux sociaux.
Social media.
Social media. Don't forget social media. You have to, everybody has to,